All right. Welcome back. Another week of this, another week of me, another week of Raw, the last one before WrestleMania. Interesting that they went with the direction they did in the opening. You know, typical, showing all the entrances. Then you cut to Michael Cole. It's like, hey, later today I've got this interview with Gunther. And then Gunther comes out right away. And even Michael Cole's like, oh, fine, I'll get this over with. Speeding up the process of the night, definitely throwing the rhythm off of, everything. But I think that was Gunther's point. Gunther came off really, really strong here. Angry, likely deflecting, a little bit. But honestly, kind of let him recover a little bit after, last week. Where on purpose and very effectively he looked weaker than Jay, and that was the point. Jay was supposed to. That was last week was the week that he became the legitimate contender. As someone now that could believably beat him. Reestablished how dominant he reestablished how dominant he's been since arriving in the WWE. He's been champion for 80% of his time. Really long single runs for the most part, both with the NXT UK title and the IC title. And then obviously he's had a good run here with the world title. Great line from him. I thought, I want you to thank God that I was in control with your brother, because otherwise I would have drowned you both in your brother's blood. Just really reinforcing where he's coming from. Later in the show, we did get Jay heading to the ring. No yeeting for the most part. I think sticking with that was a good call. He was still kind of dancing his way. We got the confirmation that Jay and Gunther was night one. He still kind of played into the crowd's yeeting, although he didn't really do it himself, which I thought was a little bit odd. I think he called out the bully for being afraid. It was a typical Jay promo playing into the eats. I think it would have been better to just keep the hate and the anger that he had last week alive. I think it would just made more sense. Here it's almost like there's cracks appearing even in Jay's armor and his resolve. Maybe unintentionally to make it look like, hey, let's not make it telegraph it completely that, hey, Gunther's going to be our winner here. But I don't know. It was still pretty good. He's going to take I feel like he took a tiny step back from last week. He did grab a bottle of Prime on his way out, so he may not even make it to the match at all. But we'll see. We got a recap of the women's tag team title match, the cool number one contenders match on SmackDown. And, of course, we have the IC champ in a match not involving her title. I just have this feeling I don't think it was the original plan for what they were going to do with Liv and Raquel. I think that they just kind of went here because it really looked like they were planting the seeds for Roxy and Bayley at one point. And then, you kind of had all this stuff with the IC title. I don't know why you just kind of put a pin in it. Like they kind of have. I was hoping that maybe that match, the tag title match, would end up on night one of WrestleMania. It is not. It's on night two. If it had me kind of been booking it, I think just to give it a chance, to raise the prestige, I think a little bit of this new IC title. I think you have them unsuccessfully, which I still think is going to be the result, unsuccessfully try to take the tag titles from Liv and Raquel. Bayley gets upset, attacks Lyra. They somehow manage to find a way to work in an IC title match on night two. Clearly that's not going to happen. I think it's probably going to be Backlash. I think Liv and Raquel retain. Bayley gets upset, challenges Lyra for that rubber match. I think that happens at Backlash. So, that did segue into Liv versus Bayley, though. They got over 10 minutes. They did call out Liv has never beaten Bayley one-on-one, but reminded folks that Liv was the person who eliminated Bayley from the Elimination Chamber. Liv's still looking strong. She should. She had a great 2024. Seems to be on her way to another strong year. It was a fun little, if a little bit basic match. They wouldn't want to give away too much, I think, given that they're going to have a, fairly marquee match at WrestleMania. But it did get kind of fun after the commercial break. I thought it was an interesting spot. We had the code breaker on the apron, though I guess wrestling logic would suggest that would actually hurt Liv more, given that that's allegedly the hardest part of the ring. Trademark Simon Miller. Nice running drop kick, I think, from the outside right after that. I really liked that. I mean, for basically let's build up our match coming, at the pay-per-view kind of a match. They were still taking some interesting, risks and spots there. So Raquel finally gets involved. Lyra and Raquel get into it. Raquel cheats to try to, save the match for Liv. Lyra, I liked her holding on to Bayley to prevent the oblivion at the end. Liv, gets blocked. We get our surprise roll-up. We get our win. It's a 50-50 match. It makes sense in this particular case because you have strong contenders here. You have Bayley and Liv that have established themselves pretty well. So, yeah, this is a match you book 50-50, and that's exactly what we had. Now, I'm going to break down all three of these here, but we did get the first of three videos involving our contenders for the women's world title. Bianca's was first, aired just before the Liv and Bayley match. She mentioned, just again, the Naomi Jade situation still floating around in the background. I'm really starting to think Belair heel turn here. I think it would be fun. Definitely, the women's triple threat match is on night 2. So maybe they give away the game during Naomi and the Naomi Jade Cargill match, which is on night 1. I think maybe you play it in a way that maybe Bayley tries to talk some peace into the two and accidentally costs Jade the match. And then you have Naomi come out, openly interfere on Bianca's Belair's behalf, gets her the title. Maybe you just openly have Belair cheat. Maybe they try to take out Naomi. And then triple threat comes around. And Jade comes down for revenge. I think right now, Bianca Belair heel turn title win, I think, is the smart money there. It'll be a fantastic match either way. It's going on night 2, so Rhea's video, just basically, I did like it, her suggesting just she gave Io that match out of the kindness of her own heart. It was a charity act to give her that match, but Io won. Of course, she did blame Bianca. Felt that she, if I'm going to be the villain, fine, I'll play the villain in this situation. It's okay. I'm getting my title back. Io got her video, let her speak in Japanese. They translated it. She reiterated pretty much everything that this whole story had been telling through actions. That she feels like she's been ignored, that she's been treated like she was an afterthought. She reminded them, and I love this, hey, I'm the reason this is all happening. I hold the title, and you've got to take it from me. I thought it was really, really, really good. Excellent build. I thought it was a good idea to keep them separated. They've had a lot of kind of higher profile segments in the build to this triple threat on how we get there. I thought it was definitely good. Let's just do video packages. Let's keep them separate. We already know people want this match. Let's keep them wanting it. We got a recap of events for the triple threat match. We get Paul Heyman in the back waiting for his Uber, apparently. Just checking his phone, sitting around in the back, looking quite perplexed. we get this a couple more times throughout the night. Then we get to Rey Mysterio versus Julius Creed. They got about 8 minutes, give or take, with the commercial break in there. Yeah, it's definitely one thing that hit me during this match in a spot I'll kind of go over in a second, but it is remarkable that at least at 50 or getting close to 50, Rey is still moving around like he did when I first saw him in WCW all those years ago. It is crazy that he is just not a walking ball of arthritis at this point, given all the bumps and crazy stuff that he has done in his career, and the fact that he can still go at a believably high level is just amazing. And he got to show that off against Julius Creed, a very, very talented wrestler. Interesting that this was actually Julius Creed's first singles match in WWE. I'm not sure if that includes NXT, but to my recollection, yeah, I'm pretty sure he and Brutus were together the whole time. So yeah, very interesting. The factions just doing the same things I thought was interesting, both trying to cheat and give the other a little bit of an edge. Eventually the ref gets tired of it, just tosses them all to the back. I love the spot with the Rey Mysterio baseball slide that he does, but Julius catching him, hoisting him up for a vertical suplex, and just carrying him up to the ring apron. That getting reversed, Rey escaping but still catching the boot, and then Olay and Julius catches the post with that spear, with that shoulder tackle spear, whatever he was going for. I thought it was a great spot. Definitely picked up more as the groups were tossed. Julius looked good. Rey is Rey. Obviously, Rey wins. Rey was going to win this match. We had the interference from El Grande Americano. I thought that was obviously telegraphed. Somebody's apparently a quick change artist, maybe. But we see him laying everybody out. Of course, the reveal, we have the loaded mask. Obviously, an old school reference. That was the whole point of Chad Gable's sabbatical and learning the dark arts of Lucha Libre. He's bringing in the dark arts of Lucha Libre. Again, either way, we're getting Rey Mysterio versus Chad Gable at WrestleMania. I'm okay with that. War Raiders promo right after that, real old school feel. I love that they're kind of doing more of these produced static backstage segments. I feel like the WWE really started relying really, really heavily, and I think AEW does this too. The backstage interview segment being the driver of the 90% of all this backstage stuff. I do like the, two guys or one guy talking into a camera, giving that promo. War Raiders, I think, look good. I think their title reign is their days are numbered there. But I enjoyed that. Followed Woods and Kofi playing Clash of Clans. I think Austin Creed dropped a kind of a tie-in promotional video for it on YouTube today, just because there's a crossover WWE thing. Obviously, we've seen in the past, if you followed any of the Up, Down, Down content, a lot of Clash of Clans, a lot of Clash Royale being played by members of the Up, Down, Down crew that are no longer with the company. It was interesting. Also, if you want to see a flashback of Cody Rhodes as Stardust playing Clash of Clans, was in that video that was released on Up, Down, Down today. So that was I thought that was funny. Anyway, I think the New Day has to win these titles if the heel turn is going to stick. The only way I think I would accept the New Day not winning these titles at this point is Big E showing up, costing the title. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think if the title changes coming now is probably the right time. Then I'm definitely going to be curious to see where they go after the fact. Next, we get AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. About in under 10 minutes. Honestly, I thought Kross looked good here. I like the story behind Kross going to the same tights maker as that AJ Styles uses to get his own pants for the match. Just kind of Kross and his mind games. We're starting to see that stick around. They did mention that AJ Logan Paul is on night 2. I won't be seeing that one in person. Again, I dislike Logan Paul as a person, but and he is good in the ring, and and him and AJ I think are gonna kill it. But back to this match, I am definitely starting to wonder if Karrion Kross is gonna screw AJ at Mania, or somehow ruins his WrestleMania moment and interferes in a way that AJ wins based on the outcome of the match. I don't think he's going to go out there to help AJ if he does show up. We'll see, and we'll see where it goes after this. If we are going to have a longer term AJ Karrion Kross thing, that could be interesting. It is also very easy to forget how big Karrion Kross really is. He doesn't come off like a giant monster when you see him in those backstage segments, but he's actually very tall and very big, believable strongman, offense there. We saw it here. He dominated a good chunk of this match. I love again, lots of throwback, lots of classic stuff. The faking the ankle injury to then sucker punch AJ, but really all it seemed to do was really fire him up. Obviously the outcome here was not in doubt. AJ is going toward, building towards a WrestleMania match. Kross isn't exactly booked very strong. The final testament is gone, so it's not like he's got a group backing him up. So of course he was going to lose here. And what happened? We got a good exchange. I don't know, again, if we really are going to do AJ Styles and Karrion Kross afterwards. There was a very subtle movement there with Karrion Kross putting his arms behind his back and just kind of resigning himself to eating the phenomenal forearm. That seems way too deliberate and way too intentional. So I'm very curious to see where that ends up going. Logan Paul, of course, comes out. Logan Paul. He had the prepared video, which I thought was kind of an interesting kind of heelish tactic. Like, hey, where have you been? Well, I've been having the guys put this together, basically. Cross distraction kind of helped Paul gain the upper hand. Damn it, the pulverizer is a very cool looking move. It's still Logan Paul. Got my issues there. But, again, that match is really going to be good. Paul Heyman's still waiting for his Uber. And then we cut to Braun Breaker getting ready for an interview. Jumped, ambushed by the Judgment Day. Basically guaranteeing that he is going to come out during the next match, which was Penta versus Finn. 8 or 9 minutes. Penta actually attacks Finn before the bell. Apparently he watches the product and realizes that Judgment Day are not to be trusted. This would be a hell of a 15 or 20 minute match, these two. I think they really could play very well off of each other with their styles. Maybe something down the line, that would be awesome. Slow pace for a Penta match, really, because Finn was really kind of controlling fairly early. Some ring apron fun there before the commercial break. Finn's still in charge when we came back. Got a superplex in there. I loved the reverse Irish whip into the backstabber from Penta. I thought that was an awesome little spot. Of course, the clock of inevitability counts down. Judgment Day appears. Finn kind of in control until Braun Breaker appears. I love Carlito running in through the ring and out the other side to avoid getting super speared again. Just Carlito again. It entertains the crap out of me. Braun attacks Finn, draws the DQ, fights off the rest of the Judgment Day, but then goes to spear Penta, who kicks him, reverses it, and, gets him to the outside, splashes everybody, stands tall. Title match, the IC title match is on night 2. Sad Panda here. I was hoping to see that one in person. So, still no Uber for for Heyman, but CM Punk sits down with him just at about the same time that Roman pulls up. Roman did not look happy. Gave him a fantastic look. Pure Punk eating grin on his face, just reveling in the chaos. I think that's definitely part of it. Roman going right to the ring. Heyman following behind him, trying to be gracious to him, offers him the microphone. Roman refuses it. Then goes to get his own. Heyman good as usual through all of this, just the little subtleties in his facial expressions, and then of course, Heyman can definitely lay it on real exaggerated even when he needs to, and we saw a little bit of that too. Roman really laying that guilt trip on him super duper thick. Using a little bit of the royal we in there, I thought, when referring to himself as the tribal chief. I like that, just a little hint of that, the arrogant Roman Reigns. Like, he hasn't changed significantly who he is since losing to Cody. We've only seen him in little bits and pieces, and obviously he was on the popular side in the Bloodline Rift. But in reality, it's good to see that the character didn't do a 180. It's still the character that he was, that people love to hate for so long. Finally, he's basically trying to get Paul Heyman to explain himself. He's never going to have that chance, at least not until after the match, because here comes Seth in an outfit, I would say, even though it appeared to be entirely made of pleather, about an 8 on the reasonability scale for Seth. I'm still, believe me, grading on a curve. There were definitely a few too many belts on those pants, and those shoes were interesting. They looked inflatable. Seth, of course, being the antagonist in there, riling things up, as Seth has been really good at doing lately. Says he still needs to take Roman out, even though Roman, you're finally seeing the bigger picture. But hey, if the business was full of guys like you that only show up whenever things are convenient, whenever they want to, hence him showing up 10 minutes before the end of the show, that's bad for business. If the business was full of people like CM Punk, who take their ball and go home whenever things get tough, but then come back and leech off of the success of others, then the business falls apart. And so he's the only one who's been here day in, day out, putting in the work. And, he needs to win, because if he wins, that is the survival of the business. So very interesting, I think, way to take it, take this direction. It almost seems like Seth's words are actually working. They're kind of getting through. I like the line that Heyman is a scumbag that cannot be trusted. But then Roman just sucker punches Seth. Pie faces Paul Heyman anyway. Looked like he might have started to get a little bit more physical with him. Punk comes out for the save. The brawl is on. Punk gets Roman out of the ring. Then goes to comfort Heyman. Turns around, eats a spear. Seth in the ring with a chair at an angle shot very similarly to, say, the breakup of the Shield. Michael Cole even just hit us over the head with that sledgehammer of plot. For the younger folks that don't remember, 10 or so years ago, whenever the Shield broke up. It was definitely interesting ending. We get curb stomps on both Punk and Reigns. Stare down with Heyman to end the show. I am now 100% convinced that Heyman is going to side with Seth, and I think Seth is going to win the triple threat. I still can definitely see the plausible reasons for the other two winning. Maybe we have like kind of a heelish turn from Punk. You know, just basically blatantly come out and say, listen, I just used you to get what I wanted, and now I've got it. I've won, and I'll see you later. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think if it is the Seth Rollins heel turn, I think he pins Roman. Because honestly, I still see Cena winning the main event. I think your feud after that, at least maybe building up to SummerSlam, is you somehow work CM Punk into the mix. We'll see. We did get a full breakdown of the full card, at least so far, and what nights they're going to be on. Saturday, looks like we've got, obviously, the triple threat main eventing there. We've Gunther versus Jay, Naomi and Jade. Definitely be on the lookout for Bianca there. War Raiders versus the New Day, Ray versus a Grande Americano, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Now that one could be definitely interesting. Do they pull the trigger on the Jacob Fatu title reign and push now, or does Solo screw him over somehow? And then, you know, that feud goes on, and then LA Knight moves on to something else. We'll see. I'm probably guessing U.S. title for Jacob Fatu. And then Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. I'd like to see Tiffy win this one. I'm definitely tired of the same old Charlotte Flair stuff. I think Tiffy needs it. Tiffany Stratton's been somebody that surprised me at pretty much every stage. I didn't think much of her early on in NXT, but she won me over. She definitely had some interesting stories. Her ring work has gotten better and better and better. So yeah, definitely interesting there. I would like to see her win. I think that has the greatest overall benefit, just because honestly I think Charlotte can take the loss. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we don't just get a Charlotte squish squash and then Tiffany fades away. Sunday, looks like we're going to have Liv and Raquel versus Bayley and Lyra. Again, really was hoping for my theory of a night 1 leading to a night 2 match there working out. Obviously not going to be the case. With Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in the street fight. That's going to be fun. Drew, my thoughts there. Drew's going to win that. I think he's owed it. I think Priest is probably okay with a loss here, especially to McIntyre. But man, McIntyre really kind of that unsung hero of the WWE here for the last year or so. We go into the fatal 4-way for the IC title. Dom maybe wins. Either way, end of the Judgment Days, we know it. I think Penta's the odd man out. I really don't see him with a chance of winning it here. I just don't think he has... I don't think it moves any storylines forward if that's the case. You could potentially see Breakker, I think, retaining maybe. But honestly, I think Breakker may be moving up in the world outside of the IC title realm. We'll see. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, if I have to pick right now, and I'm going to pick right now, Dominic Mysterio. And honestly, he's earned it from the character work alone. He's definitely carried a lot of storylines forward. He's pushed a lot of people up, just being hated so much. Yeah, it would make sense that he would get a little bit of a singles title run here. AJ Styles, Logan Paul, AJ Styles. AJ Styles is going to win that match. We have the women's world title, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. I think I mentioned it earlier. Bianca held the heel turn. seems to be the likely scenario. So I think that's where we go there. And last, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. It's going to be John Cena. I mean, it makes sense. If you're going to do that heel turn the way that you did it, it's going to have to pay off. I think we've been slow playing The Rock. Maybe he will get involved, but I think he's going to get involved. It's going to pay off on both ends there. And I think the storyline potential for a heel John Cena running from challengers could be very interesting. I think we'll probably get a couple more from SmackDown. I'm really curious to see what they do with the SmackDown tag titles, the WWE tag titles. Do we get that Fatal 4-Way at Mania, or is it just going to be SmackDown before... SmackDown on Friday, where we're going to get that defense? Are they going to find a way to do something with Chelsea Green? Do they squeeze Chelsea versus Zelina Vega in there? I think Chelsea is way too entertaining to be kept off the card. Again, you kind of have a Valkyria situation where we have this newly created title. This is the first WrestleMania of that title's existence, and she's not on the card. At all. So not even involved in a tag match that she shouldn't be a part of. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, we're also going to have something with Randy Orton. What that will end up being, who knows? If it's just against Solo Sikoa, if somehow it's just an interview segment and he just attacks Nick Aldis again, who knows? We'll see what happens there. But we're in it. Things in Vegas are starting to happen, I think, as of tomorrow morning, with all the tertiary goings on. So we're definitely in that full sprint to Mania. I will be in Las Vegas for night 1 of WrestleMania, so that'll be cool there. I'll have a little bit of a recap and an experience of that for you. I'm going to go to WWE World as well. I'm trying to get a little bit more of this trip out there and let you guys know a little bit more about what that experience is like. I'm going to a Progress Wrestling show on Thursday night, so it's just going to be a fun time. It's going to be very, very busy, but thank you all for joining me here for my second RAWCap, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.